Hello and welcome. You're listening to the Evolvepreneur Secrets Show for entrepreneurs, and I'm your host, Brian Silverthorne. And my mission is to help entrepreneurs make a difference in their business and to navigate the sometimes messy worlds of startup or growth or relaunch. And today we're going to dig deep with our guest and get you some great concepts and strategies to fast track your business. And our special guest today is Liesel Hill. And Liesel is a USA Today Best-Selling author, and she is also a story clarity coach. Welcome to the show, Liesel.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Good, good. Happy to have you here. So where are you hanging out today?
I am in Utah, so Western United States, and yeah, I work from home, and we're still having a massive heat wave here, so I'm kind of staying indoors today.
That's always good when it's too hot. So we're gonna have fun here and get this thing done in 10 minutes or less, starting now. So the first question is, who's your ideal client?
My ideal client is either an aspiring author who has not quite gotten their first book written yet, fiction author, or possibly someone who has a few books written and under their belt, but is looking for more like marketing, that sort of thing.
Okay, great. So, well, you mentioned marketing, looking for that, but what's the kind of the major problem that you help them solve?
So again, I've kind of got the two different types of authors. So I help them get their book written, right? A really well thought out story that will really hook readers. And then I help them get that story in front of the right readers through the marketing and everything. So I kind of help them just get their book to the masses and find the kinds of people that would be interested in reading it.
Okay. So when people want to reach out to you for help, what are the symptoms that cause them to do that?
If it's the writing, then it's things like they can't quite finish their first draft. Maybe they've written the first part of the book, but they're having a hard time getting to the ending, from A to B. They're having trouble with the middle, just problems writing the story and knowing where to go with it. If it's, the authors in the later stage where they do have their books written, then the symptoms are more like they have these books published, but they're not moving very many copies. And they're just looking for someone to help them, kind of get the books moving and get them to the right people so they can see some sales.
Okay, great. That's an excellent explanation of it. I appreciate that. Okay, so we're moving along well. We're only about 3 minutes in. So when you start working with your ideal clients, what are the most common mistakes that you find they're making?
One of them is that they, kind of write their stories willy-nilly without much of a plan or any kind of tactic, or strategy to get them written. And that just leads to taking a really long time to get even a single book written, much less many. So it takes them a long time to build their backlist. And that is actually the key, the bedrock to good marketing. So, the other symptom, or I guess a mistake they would make is just throwing money at the book and hoping that works. And usually it doesn't. There's something, core that's wrong that they need to fix.
Right, right. Okay. So if someone is considering reaching out to you for help,
Mm-hmm.
so what's one step that they could take right now that would help them immediately? Not going to solve all their problems, but it'll give them a good start.
One thing they could do is either listen to my podcast or possibly follow me on TikTok. I give writing tips on both of those. And so they could just, if you can even take one single writing tip that, you're having trouble with, and of course that's going to be different for everybody, and incorporate it, then that will kind of start to get your mind working toward what probably needs to be fixed and what the next step would be.
Okay, great. So let's expand on that a little bit. You say you're on TikTok and
Mm-hmm.
you're a podcaster. So
Yes.
how do people find you? Those two places, or do you have other sources?
Yeah, so it would be easiest to find me probably via my podcast. It's called The Prolific Author, and you can listen to it anywhere that you listen to podcasts. And then that is my handle for TikTok as well. That's my handle most places. I'm at The Prolific Author on Instagram and on Facebook, but most often I'm going to be on TikTok doing just obviously short videos that are writing tips, or just looking up as a podcast. Yeah, you can find me either way. And if you listen to those things, you can find other ways to reach out to me too, like via email or whatever, but that's kind of the entry into my ecosystem.
Okay, great. Yes, we're rolling along here. We got about 3 or 4 minutes left. So you mentioned the problems and challenges that you help your clients with,
Mhm.
and that everybody that's in business, entrepreneurs, has some bumps in the road along the way. So are there any specific problem that needs to be addressed in your business at this time?
I mean, mostly just, trying to grow my audience a little bit. I did notice that for a while, one thing I was doing wrong is I was trying to combine audiences too much. So, I've talked about how there's the aspiring author and then there's the one that's further along. And I actually do help both, but I had to kind of divide those audiences because when I was trying to target them at the same time, they were canceling each other out. And so that was really kind of hamstringing my efforts to grow my audience. But once I realized that and I separated them, things became a lot easier.
Okay, great. What's working for you best right now in attracting those audiences?
Again, using things like TikTok and my podcast and really talking about their pain points, so that I'm kind of meeting them where they're at and saying, if you have trouble with this, I can help. I think that one thing that a lot of entrepreneurs do is they jump too quickly to the solution, and that can be so far ahead of where your client is that it doesn't resonate with them. But if you meet them where they're at with what problem they're having, then they're going to respond to you a lot more. So that's working well for me.
Okay, good, good. That makes perfect sense. So we're getting on toward the end here. Is there a question that I should have asked along the way that I haven't asked yet?
um, I don't know, maybe just maybe like why I do what I do. And the answer is that I love stories. I always have. And I believe that even fiction stories really can change people and give them hope and give them strength and power in their own lives. And I have very strong beliefs underpinning those things. And so that's why I love doing what I do.
That's great. I've always been a big book person,
Yeah.
so I prefer paperbacks. That's just my shortcoming, I guess. But you
No,
know,
no, it's not a shortcoming.
fortunately, I live most of my life in t-shirts and cargo shorts, so I always have a book tucked in one pocket in case I need it somewhere out in the world where I have to stand and wait for something. So
Oh, I love
I
that.
I agree with you there. A good story, fiction, nonfiction really helps along the way.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're getting toward the end. Do you have any final thoughts for our listeners?
Every entrepreneur, it's difficult along the way. Everyone, like you said, has bumps in the road and stuff you have to figure out. But I don't think it's possible to fail as long as you keep learning and keep growing and learning from what doesn't work. And, you'll get there eventually. So don't give up.
Great. Keep learning and don't give up. Excellent, excellent thought to end this episode. So that's a wrap on another great guest episode of the Evolvepreneur Secrets Show for entrepreneurs. And before you go, if you liked it, please give us a 5-star review. And if you would be so kind, maybe share it with a couple of friends. And if you want to make sure you keep up with all the episodes, you can go to evolvepreneursecrets.show. And if you're an entrepreneur, let's get your next best idea started